Hey everyone, and welcome back to the PTG Rail Routes Learning series. On today's video we're going to be taking a special look at the new Great Western Expressways route from Dovetail Games for Train Sim World. And I'm going to be driving a full fast run of this route in an HST between Reading and London Paddington, with one intermediate stop along the way at Slough, with a total journey distance of around 35 miles. The timetable that I'm following is the timetable of the real-life service train 1 Alpha 02, which is an early morning service from Bristol Temple Meads through to London Paddington, departing Reading at 6:45. Being a regular feature on this channel, the HST probably needs little introduction, but I'm just going to introduce it quickly now for those who are maybe new to this channel, and also for those who are new to the HST. So HST stands for High Speed Train, and they are formed of two power cars which are numbered as Class 43s, with 7 or 8 Mark III coaches sandwiched in between. They are diesel-electric locomotives built by British Rail Engineering Limited at Crewe Works between 1975 and 1982. A total of 197 HST locomotives were produced, with the total weight of each locomotive being just over 70 tonnes, and having a 2,250 horsepower MTU engine. They have a maximum speed of 125 miles per hour, which we will be able to get up to on this journey today, with a record speed on a special test run of 148 miles per hour. Now in the cab of the HST, there's just a few things I'm going to do to set up ready for departure here. The first is to turn the master key by clicking on it, and now that I've done that, I've now activated this cab. Now if I move over to the right hand side here, I'm just going to turn on the driver safety device and also the AWS system, so they're now in full use. Now if I go back over here, now if we look down again, I'm now going to move the reversing handle into the forward position, and as I do so, I'm going to reset the AWS self-test sequence. I'll just press Q there to reset the AWS. The key controls are pretty much all the same as in Train Simulator. So now the train's in forward, I'm going to press I to turn on the instrument lights, press H to turn on the headlights, and now just have a quick look around the cab at some of the gauges and controls that we have here. So we've got 3 gauges in front of us there, which are the brake gauges. The one that I'm most interested in is the middle gauge, with the 2 needles currently pointing at the number 7. So the higher those needles are pointing, then the harder the brakes are applied, and when they're pointing to 0, then the brakes are fully released. Now if I continue around the cab, in front of us here now we've got the brake controller, which has 7 steps of braking on it. So you've got steps 1 to 5, step 6, which is full service, and then finally we've got step 7, which is the emergency setting. I'm generally not going to try and brake above 3 or 4 on this journey today. Now if we continue around here, we've got the speedometer there measured in miles per hour, with a maximum speed of 125 miles per hour as already mentioned. You can see some dots on the outside of the speedometer there, which are actually part of the ATP or Automatic Train Protection System, which unfortunately has not been simulated in Train Sim World at this point. If I now continue around here, you can see the ammeter in front of us there, which unfortunately doesn't read correctly. That's something that I know that Dovetail Games are aware of, and I'm hoping that they're working on that so that we've got a more accurate ammeter for the future. Now if I continue down here, you can see there that I've got the throttle control, which has 5 notches of power. And then just to the right of that, you've got the AWS reset button, and then the horn, which is a 2-tone horn, controlled with the spacebar and, if I remember rightly, the N key. And so now we've just had a look at the basic controls and gauges there. Let's just take another look outside the train before departing and heading out towards Slough and London Paddington. Departing away from Reading, I've got to take notice here that we are currently departing on a single yellow signal, and at this point the starting speed limit is 40 miles per hour, with 17 miles to go to our first stop, which is Slough. I'm just accelerating very gently here towards the next signal, keeping an eye out on that to make sure that the signal is not going to be displaying a red aspect. If it is, I've certainly got to stop there. I see that my signal just ahead has actually now just jumped up to green, so I can now start accelerating up towards line speed. The speed limit here is now going up to 60 miles per hour, and you can accelerate towards the 60 if you're already doing 40 at this point, once you've reached the 4th overhead gantry beyond that speed post. The line diverging to the right here is actually a line that's electrified with the 3rd rail, leaving Reading, and it's the line towards London Waterloo, and is also used by diesel trains heading through Guildford to Redhill and Gatwick airports on the Brighton Mainline. The beeping you just heard there was the driver safety device, and so I've just reset that. That goes off I think about every minute if you don't touch a control, just to make sure that the driver's still alive, and then it has to be reset by the driver by way of a foot pedal in real life. So I just got an AWS warning there which can be ignored. I'm not even sure what it's for, but I've had that go off every time I've travelled along here. So I just reset the AWS, and now I'm just continuing on the journey. The speed limit has gone up to 125 miles per hour, and so that's what I'm accelerating up towards now. I see that now just ahead we've got double yellow signal, so I'm now idling the power at this point, and I'm getting prepared to start braking to slow down. So a double yellow signal indicates that the signal 2 signal sections ahead is currently displaying a red aspect. I've now made a minimal brake application just to start bringing our speed down very gently. If the next signal is displaying a single yellow aspect, then I'm going to continue to slow down until I'm driving slow enough that I'm able to stop at the red signal ahead within sight distance. So we've now got a single yellow signal indicating that the next signal is displaying a red aspect, and I'm continuing to slow down for now. I'm going to release the braking slightly, I think, just because I think we might actually slow down slightly too quickly. Now just reapply again on a minimal setting. This time an even lower setting than before. I think I was in step 2 of braking, and now I'm in step 1 of braking, which is the initial reduction. I noticed there that the sound of the locomotive suddenly got louder. I've noticed that's happened quite a few times as I've been driving along. I'm not quite sure why that is. I'm just increasing the braking now, as you can see that there is a red signal coming up just ahead. One thing I have noticed when driving the HST, unlike in Train Simulator, is that if I put the brakes in, say, step 4, and then I want to reduce the brake application, in Train Simulator it's simply a case of just dropping to, say, step 3, and the brakes will release to that setting. But in this HST, I don't know if this is how it is in real life, or if the Train Simulator version is more accurate. I've actually got to completely release the brakes here to reduce the brake application, and then reapply the brakes back to the desired setting. We're just slowing down here for a class 166, which is actually going to be crossing our path. And so I'm just trying to approach this signal as gently as possible in the hopes I won't have to stop, but unfortunately I can't actually see the 166 crossing over yet. I can see it just ahead there. So I may have to stop at this signal. It's now crossing over, it's now on our track, which is the up first. And it's now crossed over onto the down first, so hopefully in a moment the signal will jump to a green aspect, which it has now done. So now the signal is green, I've now released the brakes. I'm going to start increasing the power and bringing our speed back up towards line speed, which is of course 125 miles per hour. So as mentioned, we're on the up first line. The track to our right is the down first, and then on our left hand side, the track on the far left is the up slow, and then the track immediately to the left of us is the down slow. Now unfortunately just there you've seen a very weird graphical glitch which I've been experiencing with the HST alone. Initially I thought it might actually be a hardware problem, but it turns out that it seems to be more of a software issue. Just to say at this point that we're just passing now through Twyford Station. So yes, this graphical glitch is something that I experienced today, and it's only happening with the HST, not with any other trains. And as I said, I thought it might have been a hardware problem with my graphics card, but I've run a full stress test on my graphics card and everything's come out just fine. So I contacted DTG and I've made them aware of the problem, and so they are now aware and looking into it, and hopefully there should be a fix for it soon. I don't know if this will happen on every PC or not. Certainly when I've seen it streamed I hadn't seen this issue before. But unfortunately, if I watch this train from the outside, even my own HST, then at certain speeds and from certain angles we'll get that same sort of graphical glitch. So I'm hoping there will be a fix for it soon, and as mentioned it only happens on the HST, so if I'm driving the Class 66 or the 166 or one of them passes you, then you won't see this graphical glitch at all. And this glitch is the reason why in this video today you're not going to see any videos of my train passing in external shots at high speed. I know that one question that will be asked on this video particularly is what PC I'm running this game on. So just to quickly run through the specifications of the PC that I make my videos on at present. The processor is an Intel Core i7-4790K processor. With that I'm running 16GB of Kingston HyperX DDR3 RAM running at 1866 MHz. and the graphics card that I'm using is the 4GB NVIDIA GeForce GTX 980. I'm getting on average 30 to 45 frames a second, though for the purposes of this video I have locked the frame rate to 30 frames per second. We're now storming through Maidenhead Station at 120 miles per hour, with 5.5 miles to go to Slough. Now we've reached about 125 miles per hour. I've just idled the power and I'm just going to allow the train to coast along here, and we shouldn't need any more power now between here and Slough. For those who may be wondering, the overhead gantries you're seeing are actually part of the ongoing electrification project. Dovetail Games said that when they surveyed this route, the route was not fully electrified. I believe it might actually be now fully electrified all the way to Reading. So they've actually done this route in this interim period during the electrification project. We're now passing through Hanwell Station. We're now passing the site of Burnham Station with 2.5 miles to go to Slough. So I'm looking out for now is the next signal, which is by an overbridge, which indicates 2 miles to go. And then I'm going to apply the brakes for our stop at the following overbridge. So here's the signal at the overbridge indicating 2 miles to go. And so I've now got the brakes on for Slough Station. Our speed is coming off quite nicely. The station will be coming up shortly. I'm aiming to enter the station at no faster than 25 to 30 miles per hour. That seems about the ideal speed, especially as Slough has quite a short platform. I just released the braking momentarily as I felt we were slowing down slightly too quick. I'm now reapplying the brakes once again just to ensure that we now slow down in time to stop at the end of the platform. You can actually see there's a marker there on the track indicating the position where I need to stop. Not actually sure how to turn that off, as I generally try to drive without any markers or aids at all, but unfortunately at this stage I've got to have the stop marker turned on. And so this should be just about the right place to stop. And now if I press tab just here, unfortunately those graphical glitches were slightly distracting there. I now need to unlock the doors on the left hand side, so you press tab and then click unlock left, and now the doors are open. Let's just take a quick look now at Slough Station. Departing away from Slough, the starting speed limit is currently 125 miles per hour, with 18 miles to go to our next and final stop, which is London Paddington. I did notice just there as I was getting the external shots at Slough Station that there was some flickering on the textures of the HST, which leads me to think that the graphical glitch that I'm getting may be a texture problem with the HST itself. The section of line between Reading and London Paddington is part of the wider Great Western Mainline. And it's also a section that I have covered in Train Simulator on the Just Trains Western Mainline's route when I did a video between Cardiff and London Paddington. And I will be also covering this in the opposite direction in Train Sim World in a Class 166 between London Paddington and Reading on a stopping service. And in addition to that, I'm also going to be covering this in the opposite direction in an HST in Train Simulator on the Western Mainline's route, driving between London Paddington and Bristol Temple Meads, which is an upcoming video that I have planned. So I have a number of Train Simulator videos currently planned coming up, including the now infamous probably Marias Pass, which I know I've been promising for a while, but unfortunately I had some bugs with the scenario and it's 3.5 hours to drive through, and if I do something wrong 2 hours in, I can't reload this scenario because it crashes and I have to go all the way back to the start. And so the problem there has just been motivating myself and trying to actually drive through in one go without messing up at all. Beyond the Marias Pass, the next couple of videos I'm hoping to do involve a Class 92 on the Chatham Mainline and also a run on the South Western Expressways route by Just Trains between Bristol, Temple Meads and Westbury in a Class 150. The station that we're now passing through is Langley. We're now passing Ivor Station. We're now coming up on West Drayton Station, which is the first station in the London travel card zones. I'm not quite sure exactly where the London border is, but I believe that we have now entered London properly. Coming up in a moment will be Airport Junction. The line has actually been electrified between Paddington and Airport Junction since the 1990s, and so, as the name suggests, the branch that's going to be joining us comes from London's Heathrow Airport. Services to Heathrow Airport are operated by Class 332s on Heathrow Express, and also Class 360s on Heathrow Connect services. Unfortunately, neither the Class 332 or Class 360 has been included with this route. In Train Sim World, I believe that's due to a licensing issue, as they don't currently have the licenses to be able to use Heathrow Express and Heathrow Connect liveries for Train Simulator. Coming up in a moment will be Hayes and Harlington Station. At this point, we now have 11 miles to go through to London Paddington. We're now coming up on Southall Station. I believe that's how it's pronounced. It's spelt Southall, but I believe that it's pronounced Southall. In the yards on the right-hand side there's often old rolling stock and locomotives parked up, which is quite interesting to see. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see that in Train Sim World. I'm now cutting the power back a bit, as we just reached 125 miles per hour. We're now passing the site of Hanwell Station on the slow lines there. And we're now coming up on West Ealing Station with 2 miles to go to an upcoming 100 mile per hour speed limit. So at this point I've just idled the power to allow the train to coast. As we come up on Ealing Broadway Station in a moment, we've then got around 1 mile to go to the upcoming 100 limit, and I'm just going to apply the brakes very lightly now to a step 2 brake application to bring our speed down. On the left hand side there is the London Underground District line, which is diverging away. Our speed is now coming off quite nicely for the upcoming 100 limit. And we're now down to 100 miles per hour. I'm just going to allow the train to coast along here for a moment. I'm looking out now for an upcoming 50 mile per hour speed limit warning, which is 1 mile from the speed limit itself. We're now passing Acton Mainline Station, which is the final station on this route between here and Paddington. I believe that we're now passing the site of North Pole Depot on the right-hand side, and possibly Old Oak Common Depot on the left-hand side. So the AWS that I just reset there is the warning for the upcoming 50 mile per hour speed limit, which is 1 mile from the limit itself. So I've now got the brakes on, currently in, I'm not sure if it's step 2 or 3, unfortunately I can't quite see the handle. I'm just going to increase the braking slightly more to ensure that we do slow down in time. It's better to slow down slightly too early than it is to slow down too late. I just released the brakes there as we were certainly slowing down a bit on the early side. And I've just got the brakes on very lightly just to bring us down towards 50, and now we're doing 50 miles per hour. I'm going to allow the train to coast along here. At the girder overbridge that you can see coming up, we've got around half a mile to go to an upcoming 40 mile per hour speed limit. And at this point we've now got 1.5 miles to go to London Paddington Station. And we're just going to make a very light brake application to bring our speed down towards 40. Now just increasing it slightly, just to ensure that we do slow down in time, as I know the 40 speed post is coming up in a moment. In fact, we just passed the 40 warning there, so I actually slowed down slightly too early once again. And I'm just going to allow the train to coast along here at 40 miles per hour. The next speed change is a reduction in the speed limit down to 25 miles per hour, which will be coming up shortly, just past a cautionary signal on the approaches to Paddington. So I'm going to brake for the 25 at that cautionary signal and make sure that I'm down to 25 miles per hour in time. You can just see that signal coming up ahead now, which is the yellow aspect on that gantry of otherwise red signals. On our left-hand side here is London Underground, and I believe it's the Hammersmith and City line, which you can actually see there, which comes away from Paddington and runs parallel to the Great Western Main Line for a short distance. So now just braking for the upcoming 25 limit. You can now see the platforms at Paddington Station are coming up just ahead. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow down entering the platform. In fact, I'm going to continue to slow down. So we enter the platform at no faster than 20 miles per hour. We just entered the 25 speed zone here now. I'm just going to gradually bring our speed down in the platform to stop just before the buffer stops at the end of the line disappear. Once again, you can see the stop marker there just at the end. So I'm going to aim to stop just after the marker has disappeared, as already stated, just before the buffers at the end of the line here disappear. And so this should be about the right place to stop. I would just like to point out there that I did notice the brakes seem to have changed a bit, and I was able to reduce the braking without actually completely releasing the brakes, so I'm not quite sure what the story is with the braking system there. But here we are, arrival at London Paddington. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you did enjoy it. I do apologise for the graphical glitches once again, which are unfortunately beyond my control. But as already mentioned, Dovetail Games are aware of these glitches, and so they should hopefully be working on something to sort it out. It has been replicated on another computer, so I know that it's not just my machine. For the latest channel updates, you can find me on Facebook. The link to my Facebook page is in the description of this video. And also, if you'd like to sponsor this channel, then please visit my Patreon page for more information. And once again, the link for that is in the description of this video. Once again, thank you for watching.